Hey, how you doing? This is Brian James Shanley, and you are listening to Brian James Shanley Raw. We are on episode 21. I have been on a roll lately. I have returned in December 2022 with a vengeance, laying down new content because the condition of the world and the condition of the church is such that the absence of a voice, a Christian thinker speaking the truth from the Bible and from the Christian perspective about the issues of our time period has been so lacking. It's like if boxing went to hell in a handbasket and there was no good boxers left and they had to bring one of the old world champions out of retirement just to keep the sport alive, right? That's kind of a crude analogy, but I think it works. And I can tell that every time I don't do this, a bunch of messages and I get phone calls. When are you going to do some more content? Got all kinds of content. No, I want Brian James Shanley Raw. Come on, man. So, anyways, episode 21, we are going to be dealing with Christmas. Obviously, people are asking about Jesus being born or not born on December 25th. And since he was or was not born on December 25th, should that impact or affect our willingness and our desire to celebrate and observe Christmas? You check out my South Side shirt. I know I'm a South Minneapolis boy. This is actually a Chicago White Sox throwback Nike jersey. Since I'm a South Minneapolis boy, and Chicago and Minneapolis are closely related, it's got the pinstripes. I think I pull it off pretty well. I know it's pretty. Anyways, Bible verse. I don't have time to give you a verse-by-verse exposition of the book of Colossians, but here we go. You love my special effects. You can tell my budget is great. Colossians 2:16, therefore let no one judge you with respect to a festival. All right, so you are given a conscience from God, and when you become a Christian, God in the person of the Holy Spirit gives you the ability to know whether or not you are or are not in sin, and how your conscience is trained has a direct impact on your overall fleshing out of your faith. But as you choose to observe a festival, it says not that nobody can judge you, but let or allow nobody to judge you. Okay? So if someone is trying to do something to you, to allow them is to put no resistance up. But to not allow them is to put a little bit of resistance. So for anyone who wants to flap their lips and say that I'm in sin and I'm in error and I'm displeasing God by observing Christmas, I'm not going to let you do it. I'm going to provide an equal and opposite response because the scripture commands me. So here's the deal. The incarnation of God the Son as spoken of in the second Psalm, God the Son as spoken of in Proverbs chapter 30, verse 4. Isaiah 9:6 calls God the Son who will be given, whose name will be El Gabor, or Mighty God. The Old Testament knows of a person called God the Son, who's a distinct person from God the Father. There's many prophecies that say that eventually this person called God the Son is going to have to come down and live the life that we could never live and die the death that we deserve to die. And the 16th Psalm indicates that this person will be in a grave but won't be allowed to stay there. And if you look at ancient Jewish commentaries before the time of Christianity, you will see that they looked forward to this very set of events. Prior to the advent of God the Son coming and paying the price that purchases God's elect from hell, what was the condition of the world? Listen to the music. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, until he appeared. All right? And so the world waited, holding their breath, for this individual to show up. And him coming through Mary in a manger, as Micah 5:2 prophesied, had to take place in Bethlehem, which is very specific, hundreds of years before Jesus was born. It is the greatest event that has ever taken place. Okay? We talk about before this individual showed up and after this individual showed up to mark time. Right now, I'm sitting here in the year 2022. So 2021 years ago, what was it but 1 BC, before this individual got here? All right? The impact that this individual has had, it can't be put into words. All right? It took 66 divinely inspired scrolls just to give us a taste, just to give us a primer. We will spend our eternity learning about it every day for tens and tens and tens of thousands of years, forever, and still never fully grasp it. It's wonderful, and it's worth celebrating. Now, here's the deal. Was Jesus born on December 25th? No, he was not. The best evidence that we have seems to indicate an October birth, okay? So, Jesus of Nazareth, the historical figure, born in October. So then why do we celebrate it on December 25th? Before we began celebrating it on December 25th, was December 25th being used by heathen people, by unbelieving people to observe pagan festivals? Yes, it was. This is a fact of history. Whether it's the Saturnalia or the Winter Festival, the point is it had to do with, Mother Goddess worshiping the earth, all that crap. There's still some pagan vegan chicks that you run into at the store who do this to this day, but in a different version, obviously. But yeah, so December 25th was the time period of the pagan, the Saturnalia, and that was astral, right? And it was a winter festival. Everything was dying, and it was getting ready to be rebirthed in the spring. And it was European paganism. So the question then becomes, okay, as the Christians are getting together and worshiping Jesus, they notice that on December 25th, the pagans are shutting down the businesses, shutting down the restaurants, not going to work. They're observing a holy day, only the holy day is being around heathen religion. Well, we're sitting here with a day off work. What are we going to do? We're not going to participate in that. So in a bold statement that could have costed them their life, a bold evangelism move, the Christians said, let's take what they're doing on December 25th. We'll still observe that, but we'll still use it as a holiday. But instead of observing what the pagans do on December 25th, we're going to observe the incarnation of God the Son. So it was a literal, bold, evangelistic, powerful statement that we don't observe and recognize what you're doing. Matter of fact, we're going to use this day for the opposite. It was courage, and it was a courage that the 21st century American Christian church knows nothing about. So eventually, you fast forward a couple thousand years, some jackass with a camera says, did you know that Jesus wasn't born on December 25th? Matter of fact, December 25th was a pagan festival. Therefore, Christmas must have come from the pagan festival. And that passes in some people's minds. You guys, if someone rejects God and they reject the message that one day I'm going to be held accountable for everything I thought, how I believed, how I lived, and I'm going to be made to explain myself in a court of law in the heavenly realm, that doesn't sit well with Joe Schmo public who's watching porn and smoking pot and playing video games. They reject it because it's emotionally hurtful to them. So in order to fill the gap of, I got to get rid of Christianity, they got to fill it with something. And what does the 1 Corinthians say? Professing to be wise, they became fools. So they think they're these brilliant people, but they say the stupidest things. Okay? One of which is, if A is being celebrated on December 25th, and you decide, I'm going to use December 25th to celebrate B, is it necessary then that B came from A? No, that doesn't follow. All right? It's like if my birthday is on September 25th. but I can't celebrate it on September 25th because work schedules or whatever. I got to wait till September 30th. So I moved to observe it on September the 30th. Does that mean that I borrowed from whatever was taking place on December 30th and made it into my birthday? No. You'd have to be a moron. So we look at Halloween. Here's an example. Are we going to celebrate the ghosts and the goblins and the ghoulies and the witches and the vampires and the werewolves and the blood and the guts and the horror? You know what I mean? No. But what's happening? Everyone's getting together on October 31st. The kids want to do something. We don't want to participate in the carving of the little demon faces in the fruit or whatever. So what's the alternative? Let's say that I took October 31st, which the heathen were doing for X, and I decide I'm going to use it for Y. On October 31st, we're going to use it for, say, Baptist History Month or whatever. Just an example. So I begin doing that as a statement, as a message to the culture that I'm not participating in the heathen stuff. Well, what if some moron, some jackass said, "Do you see Shanley using October 31st to celebrate Baptist History Month? Did you know October 31st is really Halloween? Brian must have borrowed Baptist History Month from Halloween." You'd say, wow, who laced your pipe with what crack? Who dropped you on your head? Who deprived you of oxygen? Who lowered your intelligence quotient so violently that you would believe something that stupid? But you see, the non-Christian, the anti-Christian, in their desperation to suppress what they know to be true, that they're going to stand in front of a God, the straws they grasp at are quite remarkable, you see. And every time I think I've heard of the stupidest thing, I hear something even stupider. And this frantic, desperate attempt to tie Christianity to some kind of pre-existent paganism, Greek paganism, Roman paganism, Egyptian paganism, here a paganism, there a paganism. They can't decide which paganism Christianity was borrowed from, but it has to have come from something. Why is that? Because the only other option is that it came from God, and we can't handle it. We can't intellectually and emotionally grapple with the consequences. Okay, so you got to become a moron in order to... It's like if I hated 1 + 1 is 2. I can't have it. 1 + 1 is 5. How are you going to justify it? Well, you see, under certain conditions, if you do this, and they begin doing all these stupid things, you look at them like, wow, you're retarded. You're too retarded to have a conversation with me. That's how I see the heathen that's trying to tie Christianity to some kind of paganism. So as you sit there and you observe the greatest thing that ever took place in all of history, the incarnation of God the Son, coming to the earth, the first advent. He will come again. There will be a second advent. The first one, he came to be slaughtered. The second one, he is coming to slaughter. All right? It's going to be a time of judgment at that point. But this was the thing that made reconciliation between a fallen human race and a holy and just God possible. All right? Veiled in flesh, the Godhead, right? Hail the incarnate deity, right? This is Jesus Christ, God the Son. And if I choose to observe that on December 25th, if I choose to observe that on the 4th of July, I have that freedom. And the fact, if I observe the incarnation of God the Son on the 4th of July, did you know that the 4th of July was originally used to observe the signing of the Declaration of Independence? Don't you know that the celebration of the incarnation of Jesus Christ really came from the 4th of July? Again, retarded. But these are the arguments that these people resort to, and they think they're brilliant. I've done my research. That's code for I've Googled some crap. They haven't read anything. If you're out there listening and you're a rejecter of Christianity, and one of your things is, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, but the Christians observe Christmas on the 25th, which was a pre-existent pagan holiday. Therefore, Christmas must be borrowed from paganism, the incarnation of God. You're too stupid to be alive, if that's the conclusion you can arrive at. But the television told me so. Well, that is great. Tell that to God. I'm sorry that I rejected you. Please don't send me to hell. The television told me. That's going to go over great, you know. So, anyways, we observe it by choice on December 25th. We have the freedom to observe it whenever we want. That's the day that our great spiritual grandparents chose to do it, and they were making a statement. They had a message behind it. It took a courage not of this world, and yeah, that's why that's done. So I hope something was said that helps as you consider the facts. When some schmo flaps his lips after having smoked a bunch of drugs and watched History Channel documentaries and A&E documentaries and done a Google search and they think they know something, do not feel threatened in any way, because nothing they have is worth anything. Every primary source document that's been written, that they're depending on and parroting and quoting, I've read the thing they're borrowing from. Like, I've literally spent my whole life looking at it. It's garbage. God the Son came in the historical figure of Jesus of Nazareth. We celebrate it, and we celebrate it proudly and without shame. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. God bless and keep you, and I will see you on the next episode of Brian James Shanley Raw. Take care. Check out my Southside White Sox. Bye.